Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I wanted to chat a little bit about what to do with your bulbs when they're done blooming. Bulbs are such wonderful garden additions in the spring. They bring this beautiful early color in the garden, but at this time when they are done blooming and everything else in your garden is starting to kind of emerge and explode, and they are usually, you see the foliage of these bulbs, and a lot of us are tempted to cut them back. But I would highly recommend that you do not cut back your bulbs, the leaves, the foliage that's remaining, because the bulbs need those leaves to kind of store energy for the next season. So if you want your bulbs to return and come back year after year and multiply in the case of daffodils and naturalize, you have to make sure that they can absorb all the beautiful energy from the sun and store it in their bulbs for next season so that they can come back even better than this year. So as much as you're tempted to remove the foliage, please do let that foliage be. And it's a good idea to kind of plant other things around bulbs that can take over once the bulbs are done, because then that'll help hide that foliage that you don't want to look at, because the foliage will eventually turn all brown and die back, and that's the time you can cut the whole thing to the ground. But at this time, what I would recommend is to kind of remove this spent flower stalk. So that's all I am going around today and removing from all of my bulbs that are already gone over. So these are tulips, so I am just snipping them, and I will just let the rest of the leaves just remain and remove these stalks. And basically the leaves are still looking fine. I don't have an issue with the leaves. They still look pretty healthy, and they are, they're not even withering at this moment. So this whole process of the leaves dying back will take at least, I think, about a month, and that is the point where this will start to look really bad in the garden. But once they are dry and they are brown, that's the time you can just cut them right to the ground. So at that time they are done storing the energy, and they can be cut back. But at this stage, it's very critical to leave them. And as you can see behind this, I have daylilies that are going to come up and bloom, and soon I'm not even going to see these leaves, or they are not going to be the focal point at all. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. What do you do with the bulbs when they are done? And let me also show you another example of daffodils. What do you do with those? And the foliage for daffodils is a little bit different. It's more strappy and it's more fine. And it can look a little bit more messy than the tulip foliage. So let me show you what an example of the daffodil foliage as well. It's an example of daffodil blooms that have gone over. As you can see, these are the stalks that are done. So what I can do is I can just cut back these stalks and get rid of all of this, and then just let the foliage die back naturally. As you can see, some of it is already turning yellow. So eventually all of this is going to turn yellow and die back. And as you can see, there are other plants around here that have kind of taken over. I have a peony in the back which is growing bigger, and it's going to take over, and I'm not going to be seeing these daffodils anymore, this foliage anymore. So that's another thing to think about when you're planting bulbs, is what else is going to take over and hide that foliage. The other thing you can do is you can also plant some annuals just in front of your dying foliage as well, because then as the foliage dies, the annuals are going to get bigger and bigger and eventually take over, and you won't be seeing the dying foliage as well. So that's another tip. You can add an annual in front of these leaves, but please do not cut them back to the ground at this stage, because they do need to soak in that energy and get ready for performing in the same way and even better the next year. So that's what I wanted to kind of post in this video today. So again, here for this daffodil, I am just going to cut these flower stalks and clean this up and remove any of these spent blooms. So then that also encourages the plant to then focus on just the leaves and soaking up the energy. So that's all I'm going to do. And even if I didn't do this, I didn't cut this back, it's not really going to do anything adverse to the bulbs at all. They're still going to die back naturally, and you can just then cut it back. So that's it. I wanted to share this quick little video. I know a lot of us are wondering at this time of the year, what do we do with these bulbs that have gone over? What's the best way to disguise them? And I think it's a really good time for you to just go around and remove the spent blooms. That's what I'm doing in my garden today, and just cleaning it up a little bit so that it looks a little bit better without these spent bloom stalks and just the strappy foliage, which almost looks grass-like, and I don't really mind it till it starts to go over, and then by then usually something is taking over the spot. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and do let me know in comments below, what do you do with your foliage? I have seen interesting things where people just cut half of it or they braid it, but I would recommend you just leave it alone and think about ways of incorporating bulbs in your garden where it can be disguised by other perennials, or planting annuals just in front of them so that it can slowly take over. So that's it from me. I will catch you in my next video, and thank you again so much for watching.